Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Friday, February the 17th, 2023. Friday, February 17th. Okay, they had some movement, some action on the show today. We've got, who cares, but Victor tormenting the poor deputy mayor. She tells him, I told you I can't work with you anymore. And he's like, oh, sorry. You sure got that wrong. You don't work with me. You work for me. And you're going to work for me as long as I feel I've got use for you. So here's what you're going to do. And then he gave her job assignment, right? And the look on her face like, oh, see, he has something on her. What, we don't know, but whatever. I don't care about her. So he goes, you're going to get back into the mayor's good graces and get me all the information I want. So she shows up at GH. Mayor Collins, I heard about the breakout in Spring Ridge, and I'm here to see if I can help. And Laura's like, because she's like, what are you doing here? And so Laura says, you know what? There is something you can do. There's a bunch of reporters outside. I need you to go out there and address them. Give them an update. Okay, I could do it. I could do that. So she's calling the warden, even though the warden had already been there giving Jordan and Laura an update. So she's calling the warden's assistant, seeing if there's another update, anything they know, because at the time the warden was talking to Jordan and Laura, they didn't know Ryan had escaped yet, right? So by the time she called, Jordan finds out later, like just 10 minutes or so later, and Dante calls. And because Maggie did finally give up the name of Esme, she goes, Esme believes it's her, Ryan is her father. She said they never had proof that he was her father. See, isn't that leaving the door open for Jeff Weber to be Esme's father? Esme believed it solely because that Clover was attached to her baby blanket. And the Clover was Ryan's first victim, a trinket from her. But remember, Heather took the trinkets from Ryan, and Esme just grabbed a hold of it and she liked it. So Heather let her keep it, right? But that still does not mean Ryan was the father. Heather just stole that from Ryan from her time with Ryan. So watch, it's going to all come out. Ryan Chamberlain is not going to be her father, which will be good. That'll be real good. Break Ryan's little crooked black heart, right? Because he thinks he has one child in this world. So then we have, okay, Jordan is the one that found Mac on the road. We got the ambulance and Mac's at GH, which is where Laura and Jordan were at the time that the deputy mayor came. Mac is in a frenzy, and Dante does call and tell Jordan that Esme believes Ryan Chamberlain is her father, and they're like, that makes sense. Why she was always trying to be around him, Laura said. And the Maggie heard that because Jordan told Dante Ryan escaped. And Maggie flipped out. She said, you told me he was in custody. He was paralyzed. And now he's escaped. She's thinking, my life's in danger, right? And Dante's like, well, he was in custody and he was supposed to be paralyzed. So we'll see what Maggie chooses to do. Ryan doesn't know where Maggie is, but look, if Dante and Sam could find Maggie, then I'm sure Ryan could find her if he wanted to, if he chose to. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I hope we don't need another character in Port Charles, please. So we have, that was the good stuff. And then we also have where, let's go to Trina and her father. Really good scenes. Trina's all worked up. She asked him, how don't you, like, did she say, how could you forgive her, or don't you hate her, or something she said to him, you know, how could you forgive what she's done? And he's like, because no matter what, no matter how, or did she say, doesn't this just change everything? Like her life is turned upside down. And he's like, no, because no matter what, I have been and I always will be your father. You know, he's like, from the time I knew you were coming, you were everything to me. And so he's like, you know, and he said, but to me, I don't believe it. He said, yes, there could have been a possibility, but it didn't come up because Trina said, you know, one time when I was little and I was being a real brat, just a brat, and you told mom, you know, Porsha, come get your daughter. So did you know? And he goes, that was a figure of speech, Trina. Your mother would do the same to me. Sometimes when, you know, you were acting up, she'd be, go get your daughter. You know, I mean, goodness, and it was funny. All parents do that, don't they? They'll tell the other parent in a heartbeat when that child is acting up, look, that's your child. You get none of that from me. That's you. So he said, no. He said, what your mother did is wrong, period. But I don't hate her. And it doesn't change my feelings for you one bit at all. And it's not going to change. And so she hugged him and she's just like, oh, you know, it's just, I just don't know. And she's, you know, she's in flux right now. And so Spencer shows up because the mayor, deputy mayor, calls Victor and tells him that Esme Prince escaped jail. She didn't know about Ryan at this time. And so Spencer's like, I gotta find Trina, because if Esme has escaped, Trina's in could be in danger. Even though they ruled Esme out. And I think Victor even said, well, she's not the hook killer. But he's like, but Esme's out for revenge, period. And if she escaped, then that means that whole amnesia thing was fake. Them not knowing that she's been abducted, really, right? So he goes to find Trina and he sees him. He goes out and he sees her with Taggert. And Taggert's like, what do you want? And he goes, I need to tell Trina something. Well, not right now. She goes, she looks at him and she goes, no, Dad. She goes, because we're busy right here. She goes, no, I'm all talked out. I don't want to talk about this anymore, Dad. Thank you. And she starts to take off his coat, gives her father back his coat. She walks over to Spencer and says, get me out of here. See, isn't that funny? Trina is not their little girl anymore where they could tell her, where are you going? You're not going nowhere. Whoa. Yes, I am. You know, I got choices. I could go to my dorm. I could get a hotel. I can leave with him. I could go to Jocelyn. Trina's got choices as a young adult. And she chose for Spencer to take her out of there. You know, my guess is Spencer would get a room because he's not going to take her back to Sonny's. He's not going to go to Windermere. Better not go to Windermere with her, with everything happening at Windermere, you know. So she leaves with Spencer, which is what we all said. This whole thing would just drive her to him, right? So now we have Porsha. Curtis, you wanted nothing. You despised me. You ended things. You didn't want to see me ever again. And then Taggert, when we found out I was pregnant, then Taggert, Marcus made a big turnaround and we were happy. I wanted my daughter to have a happy family and we were a happy family for a while and blah, blah, blah. So, and he goes, but you know what? I had a right to know, Porsha. She goes, you walked out on me. So how would I know how to find? And I guess she didn't know how to find him. I don't know, right? And he said, I didn't. She goes, and you just despise. He goes, I didn't despise you. He said, I ended it because you lied. You didn't tell me you were married. And I was not going to be involved with a married woman. Had nothing to do with me despising you, right? And so she's like, well, but I hadn't seen you in years. You didn't, I didn't know. So why would I disrupt everything? You didn't want nothing to do with me. Didn't know what your life was or anything. And so, we were fine. She goes, yeah, Marcus and I ended up breaking up because he says, well, when your marriage fell apart, that happy family, why didn't you tell me then? She's like, because Trina had already lost her happy family. I didn't want her to lose her father. Everything was an excuse. And then she goes, and when I found out that we lived in the same town, but then Taggert was presumed dead and Trina was grieving, and I didn't want to take the memory of her memory of her father she had away from her. And Curtis is kind, and he's listening to all this because everything she's saying was pretty much justifying Curtis not being good enough to be in Trina's life. Even from the memories of the ghost of Taggert, when Taggert was dead, I still wasn't good enough. Because I could have been a comfort. Yes, she'd be mad at you. Yes, but I could have been he didn't tell her that. This is me talking to everybody. I know he's thinking that. I could have been a comfort to her because he tried to be, but she hated him because she felt he pulled her out and saved her life and let Taggert die. Trina was pissed at him for almost a year, well, probably 8 months, right? And so then he's like, but Jordan, then when we got together, he goes, because first and foremost, when I saw Trina and I knew how old she was, I point blank asked you, was she mine? And you said there was no way she's yours. And she goes, that's what I told myself. That's what I wanted to believe. That's the best lie you could come up with, Porsha, because you don't have a reason, right? You lied to him and kept lying to him. And then she goes, and then once we got together, I had to live with it because I didn't want it to now change things. Well, guess what, girl? It changed, right? Because Curtis is, and look, he better continue to be as opinionated and as unyielding about somebody lying and keeping a child away from somebody else. Carly knew for all of 8 stinking months about Willow and Nell. And Curtis was so opinionated to Drew. He didn't see how Drew could even still be her friend. Okay, buddy, you married somebody that's been lying to your face for 20 years and kept a child from you. Knowledge that could be your child. Yeah. So, Porsha is, like we said, she's going to be full of tears. But Curtis. But Curtis, I love you. But Curtis. Oh, Curtis is going to walk right on out of her there. Now, he's not going to be able to be too mad at his Aunt Stella. Because as soon as Stella found out, she's like, no. I may not make a spectacle, but I ain't co-signing on this. And Stella made it so that the truth was gonna come out. She did, unlike Jordan. But you know what? Jordan is an ex, and Jordan, that really wasn't Jordan's place. Seriously. It really wasn't Jordan's place. So Jordan just needs to stay out of it. right? But then as soon as she sees Porsha, say, I told you so. Yeah, girl, I told you. Told you a year ago. You know, and you said, stay out of my life, Jordan. Okay. So let's see. Guess who's not going to have a honeymoon night, right? Ooh, nope. It's not going to be those two. Not at all. And she's going to be, Curtis, yeah, nope. Done deal. So now we have it's funny. They had two good storylines wrapping up right at the same time. Man, I had a hard choice deciding which one was going to be the thumbnail for this video. I really, really did. And then we have Ryan. Now he's taunting Ava and Felicia at gunpoint. Mac is frantic because he can't reach Felicia. So Ryan allows them to answer the phone to Mac's call because he's been calling. And he's like, Felicia, how are you? And Ryan goes, well, you are still alive, something to that effect. And he's like, Chamberlain? He goes, that's right. Yep, I have Felicia. But now, if you hurt her, I'll kill you. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. So he ends up having them hang up on Mac. And Felicia goes, you told me he was dead. He goes, forgot what a hard head he has, right? He's laughing. So Ava, now I'm surprised Ava didn't cough or interject something because she stayed quiet. They don't know where she's at, but Laura figured it out because Laura's like, look, Ryan's always been obsessed with Felicia, but once he turned his obsession over to Ava, I thought Felicia was safe. And Laura said, I think I know where they're at. See, she's going to lead them to Spoon Island, right? So Ryan is standing there and he goes, okay, it's time to go. He goes, oh, wait, we got a problem. And they're like, what problem? He's like, oh, there's only room on the boat, on the launch, for one of you. And when he said that, I thought, well, heck, do they have baby launches? Because the launch to Spoon Island can pretty much carry a party boat full of people over on that launch. It's certainly big enough for him, Heather, Esme, Ava, and Felicia. It's enough room for probably 12 people on that launch, right? So he goes, it's going to be up for you two to decide who's coming and who's never leaving this room. And as he's saying that, Austin had just come in and he's listening and he heard. So now he's backing away and Austin is trying to call probably the police or whoever he's trying to call, right? Look, he should be trying to call his cousin Mason, calling the cavalry in, right? Because Austin got connections. So as he's got his back trying to call, guess who comes creeping in? And I like that slow-mo they did. Heather comes in kind of like, look, y'all, well, I watched it a couple times, almost like the stinking Terminator. Dun-dum, dun-dum. And I'm like, go, Heather. But we know that's Heather is definitely not the original. Heather is truly right-handed with that hook. The original hook was left-handed, but she's clearly right-handed. So she comes in, and then as Austin turns his head to look at her, the hook is coming up and it shows her, ow. Austin's not going to be hit. Let's be real. And my whole thing is, come on, y'all. Where'd she get that hook from? It wasn't in the trunk of Mac's car that they stole. She didn't have it shoved anywhere because, look, there's poison on that hook if she had time to dip it. But she did because with Britt, or maybe she stopped off at her hook stash because with the hook that she hit Britt with, it was laced. So, maybe they stopped at a stop before the stop for Windermere to get her hook. So we shall see. Like, how is Austin gonna miss getting nicked because he would have to get to the hospital within the hour And trust me, Ryan ain't gonna give them a lift. If there wasn't enough room on the launch for Ava and Felicia, there definitely ain't enough room on the launch for a hooked Austin. So let's see tomorrow. Oh, this was Cliffhanger Friday. Monday should be Monday should be good, y'all. Isn't it getting good? I was like, okay, I'm liking where this going. I'm liking what's happening. We finally got some action. Let's go, General Hospital. Okay. So then I did some research, just some trivia stuff. They're making it like Jordan pretty much has been in Port Charles for a few years, right? Well, I mean, not Jordan, Porsha. Porsha did not work at GH. I think Porsha worked at Mercy. She worked at another hospital in Port Charles. Just like, remember Oscar's mother? What was her name? Navarro, whatever her first name was. She worked at Mercy too. And then she switched over to General Hospital. Jocelyn met Oscar at school. Okay. Well, guess who else? We're talking when they're 14 years old. That's the original Trina at the bottom. That was Jocelyn's probably junior high school, just going into high school. Friend, that was Trina Robinson. She was the original Trina Robinson. They brought her on screen June the 23rd, 2017. And she played Trina until May 5th, 2018, for almost a year. That was Trina. And then Tiani Lee, she took over, let's see, 2019, because there was a year gap where they didn't show Trina. Okay. 2019 through 2022. And then now we've got the new girl, 2000, same March. They left one Trina March 17th, and then the very next day, the other Trina appeared, March 17th, 2022. So we've got the different faces of Trina, and they didn't show Trina's mother until Sydney played Trina. When the younger Tiana Lee, they never talked about her mother or showed her mother. She was just Jocelyn's friend at school, period. You know, and then they ended up coming up with, once she turned to Sydney, they got a little older, they did more of a backstory with Sydney and her family and everything. And then we see Porsha. So back to that, Porsha has been in Port Charles for years. Okay. But Curtis wasn't in Port Charles for years. Yeah, actually on General Hospital, yes, Curtis has been for a long time now, because Curtis and Jordan, Curtis, yeah, way back when Sean Butler was before Curtis, but Curtis came, and, you know, then he had a problem with Jordan. Jordan's undercover, you know, but Curtis was definitely there for years too. Their paths just hadn't crossed until she started working at GH, right? But she had enough time to come clean. And thank goodness, everybody, we can count on Curtis for being self-righteous where it comes to telling lies, except for I'm running an illegal poker, illegal card games in my club. You know, I won't tell anybody about that, right? No, won't tell anybody. Let's go to Comment Corner. I think, see, I'm better, y'all. Not 100%. I'm kind of holding back the coughing, but I'm okay. Anna Rihanna says, I'm glad you're feeling better. Yes, I am. Thank you so much. I love Heather and Ryan. They are comic relief, aren't they, though? The actress playing Esme is doing a great job. She sure is. She plays both bad and good to the max. Porsha and Trina brought it. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. See you soon. I know. Oh, shut up, Porsha. YAA says, but it's soap world. So 3 days is a few hours. So I'm saying Nicholas been in that closet for 3 days, swelling and stinking, but you're like, yeah, that's 3 hours ago in soap land. Isn't it funny? 3 days is 3 hours, and or 1 day is a whole week in soap opera world, right? And then NK Rose says Spencer versus Bald Head Crew. I know. Spencer's like, yeah, that's family thing. I'm peace out. Edgar says DRL. Oh, you better be glad, Edgar, that I've schooled myself on DRL, Daily Recap Lady. Thank you so much for the brushback on the rewrite fiasco. Though I was glad little Jake survived. Hope you're feeling better. When Esme's memory returns and she is hit with parental distractions, we're all going to fall in love with the new, improved personality. Let's hope so. Susan says, glad you're feeling better, Daily Recap Lady, as I don't know your name. Susan, I've said my name before. Let me say my name. I'll say it right now because I'm feeling better. My name is Sheila. Okay. But it's Daily Recap Lady on this show. Okay. I know what you mean. It is comical at times when Heather reacts with Ryan. And yes, I like Esme not having her memory, as she seems to not be a vindictive person that she was, and quite vulnerable, as she doesn't know what Heather is, that Heather is her mom and that Ryan is her father. But wait until he says it, just wait until he said so just before they left the building. Yeah, he told her that that was her father, but she still don't know who Heather is to her. She's thinking, my father's in jail. She's being held captive by these two. She didn't sign up to be dragged into their escape plan. At the end of Thursday's episode, Ryan shows up at Windermere. Yes, Ryan is. And you did a great written recap, Susan. I'm going to have everybody go read it. Listen, everybody, that's reading, listening to Comment Corner, go back and read Susan's phenomenal recap that she wrote. It's just I don't have the voice to say it all, Susan. C. Be bright. Porsha knew and tried to pass Trina off as Taggers. She could no longer deny this information, as Trina had a relative, Stella, on the DNA site matching. Purchase story is BS. That's why she wants Curtis to test himself for mental health. Yeah, that's why Porsha bugged Curtis's father to get the blood test. Sandy says, so all the crazies converge on Windermere. I guess all guards are on lunch break. I know, just no security. It seems like a good time for Jordan and the crew to show up. This is where Laura's going to bring them. I love when Ryan told Felicia, you're far too righteous to be a friend with Ava. I don't know that Porsha didn't know for sure who the dad is. It's nice to see Spencer take care of Spencer. But here's the funny thing. He's talking about Porsha being so self-righteous. Ava was not in love with Ryan. Ryan was impersonating Kevin. And Kevin is a better version of Ryan. The only thing Ryan did was feed into Ava, and he was supposed to be her psychiatrist. She was coming to him to work out her anger issues toward Kiki and Griffin hooking up to spite her. Because really, Kiki did hook up with Griffin to stick it to her mother for Morgan, right? But they end up falling in love with each other. And he was feeding into her negative impulses, right? But she's still thinking that's Kevin. But Ryan, once it did come out that that's Ryan, he's like, well, whoa, but we got a connection. And she's like, no, for one, I never would have hooked up with you, right? And he's not believing it. 85 JCKSN says, yes, Queen, get well and keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much. Cindy says, I can't get up any emotion for this Ashford storyline. It would have been more dramatic if Porsha knew Curtis was the father and kept the secret. But her secret is that she doesn't know either way. Is this something she could have found out a long time ago with the DNA test? Yes. Yes, it is something. Definitely. And then DB says, I'm mad. She could not look at her baby and or tell it all from her years of med school. That's right. Like Trina said, you're a doctor, for God's sake. If you wanted to know, you could have known. And Cindy says, glad you're feeling better, Daily Recap Lady. Michael says, finally, the show is moving these storylines along. I'm glad Mac isn't seriously injured. Will Austin be killed by the hook? I know. Look, we don't need Austin, but I think they just started a connection between Austin and Ava, and I think we got a lot more to go. I definitely think we got a lot more to go with Austin's character. He just should not have ever been with Maxie. After all, this possible paternity reveal, the writers better not punk out and keep Taggert as Trina's father. I know. Unfortunately, this is the kind of thing the writers would do. This storyline needs fallout. I hope Curtis is her father. Trina did an awesome job with the reactions. Yes, she did. Porsha could have did a DNA test from the beginning, but at the very least, she should have done a test when she reunited with Curtis. Thanks for the history review. These writers do whatever they want to adjust the storyline so Nell can come back. LOL, great recapping. You know what? I'm saying, bottom line, they do rewrite things. So they could bring Nell back. They would say, you know what? She was, I don't know. I ain't making up. She's a zombie, right? It's a vampire. They live forever. I don't know. They could bring Nell back. They'll write something stupid and it brought her back. Let's see. Cindy says, did Ryan commandeer the launch boat and row over to Spoon Island? It didn't look like they swam across. No, they took the launch. The launch brings anybody to Spoon Island. You don't have to have an invite. Just say, hey, you know what? That private castle on that island over there, take me. They don't need to get, I don't need an invite. Deborah said, Ryan's holding a gun on Ava and Felicia. He only knocked out Mac, but they took the boat to win, but they all took the boat to Windermere. Looks like Dr. Holt got hooked by Heather unless he fought her off. And Sam and Dante found Maggie after all this time. Will the doctor stop Heather and Ryan? We shall see. Ms. M-I-Z-Z Miserid, glad you're feeling better. Always look forward to hearing your thoughts on the show. You know what I'm telling you? I noticed we got quite a few new commenters that hadn't commented before, giving me some well wishes. And you know what? That meant a lot. That really meant a lot, because I noticed some folks saying, get real, Daily Recap Lady. And I'm thinking, well, that person hadn't commented before. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for even just saying, I'm going to comment that to Daily Recap Lady. And then the last comment, Ron says, General Hospital is trying to end 3 stories at one time. I know, but bringing in the hook killer when Ryan wants to kill Ava and Felicia would have had to take a boat to get there. Yeah, they've got the launch waiting. And my whole thing is, we all know how skittish Esme is. So how and who did Esme leave Heather leave Esme with? Did she tie her up and leave her on the launch? And the launch guy is like, hey, okay, look, I hear no evil, see no evil. You know, because Esme would have said, look, they have kidnapped me. Take this boat, take me back to the mainland so I can get to the police. And the launch person would have said, okie dokie, right? Absolutely. The launch person would not still be there. So they never show the launch. Have you, listen, anybody, in all the years of GH, now I want all you daily recap folks, have you ever seen the launch that goes to Spoon Island? Have they ever showed it? No, I never have. Has anybody seen the launch to Spoon Island? If you have, let me know. Don't just say yes. Say what, why, what was happening, that because it had to be something big happening for them to show the launch to Spoon Island. So has anybody seen the launch to Spoon Island? Okay. So anyway, I made it. Woo! I was fighting and holding that back, but I made it through all those comments and through the recap. So on Monday's episode, hopefully, I'm at 98.7%. Everybody, have a phenomenal weekend.